If you're going to the 24 Hours of Daytona this year and want to take awesome photos like these, then stick with me for just a moment or save this video for later. We'll talk gear, settings, how to shoot, and most importantly, where to be and at what time. Alright, first up is your camera gear, and it honestly doesn't matter what you've got. Some of those photos I showed you were on a professional Canon EOS R6 mirrorless camera, and some of them were taken on this entry-level Canon 77D. But to really drive this point home, when I was at the 24 Hours of Spa, I only brought along this little pocket cam and the results were still great. It really just comes down to your settings and your technique. Now, if we're talking about lenses, then yes, this is where you can get a bit more variety in your photos, but it's still not a critical factor. A perfect all-purpose lens would be something like a 70 to 200, and if you don't own one, you can always rent one from a shop near Daytona. Now, on your camera settings. In order to achieve that motion blur effect, you'll want to shoot in a time priority setting, or TV as it's labeled on most cameras. This will allow you to control the shutter speed, but the camera will still handle everything else in auto mode. If you want that blurry effect that shows the car in motion, you'll want to shoot with a slower shutter, something like 1/60. But if you want to capture the cars in a more static moment, then all you've got to do is speed up your shutter. A good rule of thumb for motion blur is to try to match your shutter speed to the speed of the car. So if you're at a fast part of the track, use a slightly faster shutter. But if you're at a slower part of the track, then you can slow it right down. Just don't go too slow, or you risk missing focus of the car and kind of ruining the effect. The best way to sort yourself out, when you arrive to a corner, just take a couple test shots up and down at different speeds and see where you're getting the cleanest effect. The other major camera setting to consider is the focus mode. For any on-track action, you'll want to be in servo mode. This basically tells the camera that you're trying to focus on a moving subject, and it'll help you out greatly. Just make sure to turn it off when you're shooting the stuff off track. And now, to keep the car in focus, that's where photo technique will come into play, but it's really not that hard. The best way to capture motion blur is to have a good stance, tuck in your elbows, and then rotate at the hips or shoulders as the cars are going by. Try to keep the car in the center of the frame, and here's a pro tip to handle the chaos. Since there's so many cars will be whizzing by at different moments, you might not always have a chance to reset your whole body. So sometimes I end up just doing a little bit of wrist action as they're all going by, and I get as many attempts as possible. Once you get good at this, you'll definitely surprise yourself with some wild frames. And this next part is worth saving for race day. Where to be and when to be. IMSA does a great job at opening pit lane before the race, so definitely take advantage of that and definitely go for a walk on the banking. It's also great to just stroll around the paddock and see the cars up close. For the start of the race, I found it's great to catch all the cars bunched up on lap 1, lap 2, from the outside of turn 3, and since you're trying to shoot them all in a group, I wouldn't try to get the motion blur effect and just use a faster shutter to try to capture them all in that crisp detail. After that, you're free to roam until about golden hour, then as night falls, you want to make your way to the Ferris wheel and get ready for the fireworks, which are usually at 10 p.m. And since you likely don't have a professional IMSA photo badge, your fireworks shots will probably end up with all the pro photographers in the foreground, but now with generative AI, you can always remove them with some Photoshop generative fill. And lastly, my one super pro tip for the Daytona 24 is this: wear layers and bring a light jacket. You might be in Florida, but as soon as the sun goes down, it gets proper cold. Thanks for watching, share this with a friend if it helped you, and I hope you enjoy your time at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona.